because of I forgot words again. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and happy Disability Pride Month. In case you missed my video last week, I just forgot words. In case you missed my video last week, I am going to be posting videos this month all about my disability and my experience with disability. So hopefully you find them helpful, and if not, hopefully they are entertaining. So for this week, to kick off the month, I decided to talk about different accessible things I have in my home. Having accessible things in your home is really helpful for small daily tasks, because those can sometimes be the hardest things to do. As tasks as simple as getting up to turn the light on can be so much if you're in a flare, if you're just in a lot of pain, or if you're just mentally struggling that day. So these are a few things I have in my house that help me when I need them, so hopefully they can help you. Starting off with smart technology. Smart tech for the home has come so far in the last 5 years. It's insane. So these are the things that I use currently, but I'm telling you right now, they will quickly be out of date just because the industry of smart home tech is moving so quickly, and it is absolutely amazing. So some of the things that I use are smart light bulbs and smart plugs. These are just really helpful for the things in your house that maybe don't have a remote, or you'd have to get up to unplug or plug back in. This can be really helpful if you're in a lot of pain, and reaching down can be very difficult. I know it can be for me. Or if you get really comfy in your bed and the light's still on, but you just want to go to bed but you don't want to get out of bed, so you have to debate, do I sleep with the lights on or do I get up? I don't have to do that anymore. The smart plugs and bulbs that I use are on the Genie system, and they have a dedicated app that you can use to control them, so you don't even need to have like a Google or an Alexa to use them. You can connect them to it. I have them connected to my Google and they work great. Of course, another smart technology thing is my Google Hub itself. I really like it because I can play music from it, I could watch videos from it, I can do a lot of different things with it. So if I am in a lot of pain because my head really hurts, as an example, instead of like getting out my phone to look at the weather, which would be like a bright screen, it could cause more of a headache, I can just ask my Google, I don't want to trigger it, I can ask it what the weather is and it will just tell me. I also have some routines set up. If you've watched previous videos, you might have heard it go off a few times. But these routines are really helpful to keep you on a schedule, which can be very helpful for a lot of different disabilities, as well as just reminding you to do certain things. Like you can have it remind you to take meds. It can tell you the weather. So if the weather can affect your disability, like it can cause more pain if it's raining. I know that's a very common one. It will tell you that, and that way you know when you first wake up, oh, I might struggle today because it's raining out. One kind of technology I wanted to put here at the end are actually devices that have remotes. So I have a heater that I used through the winter that I loved, and the main reason I loved it is because it came with a remote. That way I could just keep it next to my bed and I could just hit the remote and it would turn on for me. I didn't have to get up and hit the buttons on the actual machine if I didn't want to. So if you're struggling with any smart home tech, I definitely think that can also be really helpful if you don't have a Google Hub or you can't afford one. Getting things that have a remote can also be very helpful. Moving on from technology, another big thing that I have in my house that is really helpful for me is what I refer to as my mini kitchen. So on the second floor of my house, where all of our bedrooms are, in the hallway we've set up a little station for me to be able to make food up here. It has a kettle, a K-cup machine, a microwave, plenty of bowls and cups, and a section for me to keep food. And I also have a mini fridge up here to keep cold things. This has been so helpful for me, especially on my bad pain days, where I can still have the independence of making my own food. I don't need to rely on my mom or my sister to help me with that. Although they are happy to help me with that. Make sure that is clear. They are more than happy to help. But it gives me that little bit of independence. And that's a huge thing with accessibility. A huge part of making things accessible is allowing the disabled person to be independent like anybody else. So instead of having to ask for help to get these things, to do certain things, they can just go and do it like any other able-bodied person. For example, having wheelchair ramps are really helpful because those who can't use stairs for whatever reason, they don't have to rely on somebody to go up to the floor that they can't get to because it's stairs and they can't use the stairs. They can just go and do it themselves. So having the mini kitchen has been really helpful for me to be able to make my own food, but also to keep it clean. Because of my disability, I've been too sick to live on my own, so I've been at home. And one thing that I've been trying to make sure I know is how to take care of a space. So making sure that my bedroom is nice and clean, as well as the mini kitchen, because that's my space. Because for me personally, having a lot of dust can worsen a lot of my symptoms. So making sure everything is nice and clean, not like hospital sterile levels of clean, that's a little excessive, but just making sure there isn't any visible dust, nothing's caked on, making sure it's cleaned regularly. That also helps me feel a little bit more independent, that I'm taking care of my own things. I'm taking care of like the kettle and the microwave to make sure that they still work and that they can last. Speaking of the kitchen, one thing that I do have in the kitchen that is also very helpful are different kinds of tea. I'm the kind of person who tries to do things as holistically as possible before we get into any sort of medications, just because I already have to take so many medications. I've taken a lot over the years, so I like to try and do things naturally before I go to the medication. And one thing that helps with that are different kinds of tea. So I have a turmeric tea, which can be helpful for preventing inflammation. I have a lavender tea, which is just nice and calming. And I also have a specific tea for my throat. My throat has been a main point of concern recently, so I've gotten a throat tea to help with any sort of pains that I have. Oh, and I also have a peppermint tea to help with any nausea. I know that this might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it makes me feel like I'm really taking care of myself. So even if it doesn't do anything, it makes me feel like I'm doing something for me, and I think that counts. Another huge thing is my recliner, what I am sitting on right now. This has been a recent purchase for me, and I absolutely love it. I am basically here in my recliner like 90% of the day, just because, first of all, it's a very comfortable chair, but also because of my, I forgot words again. Because of my disability, having my legs elevated can actually be very helpful, just in terms of relieving pain, relieving pressure off of my joints. So I am either here, sat in it like a chair, or I'm reclined in it. I also will sometimes do work from here, especially schoolwork, just because it's a little bit easier to do than sitting at my desk. Not that my desk is uncomfortable, it's just having my feet dangling from a chair, any chair, can just be very painful after a certain period of time. And on bad pain days, it becomes very painful very quickly. So just sitting in my recliner to do my work means that I can focus on my work and not worry about being in pain. Speaking of work, another recent purchase I've made is a laptop. I discussed this in my video of why I chose a MacBook Pro versus the Mac Mini, but I ended up going with the laptop over the hub because I can plug it into a monitor, work at my desk, have a nice big screen, but I can still unplug it and bring it here to the recliner and work on the laptop and still be able to do absolutely everything I need to do. Another huge accessible thing that I use for more out and about things are my canes. I've shown them off in videos before, but I use canes to help me with my mobility. It helps me be able to stand for a lot longer and walk around a little bit more. And I also have invested in some compression socks that also really help my feet and any swelling that I get from walking around. Both of those are very helpful for me. Obviously the compression socks, they just look like regular socks. Nobody's gonna think differently of them. But I do get looks, being as young as I am, having a cane. I definitely get some looks. I definitely get some why do you have a cane? You're so young. What's wrong with you kind of looks. But what I would say to anybody my age or younger who needs a mobility aid is that yes, people are going to judge you because they aren't educated on why young people would have mobility aids, but if it's something that you need that is going to help you be able to do daily tasks like going to the grocery store or simply walking down your driveway to get your mail or anything like that, you should be using your mobility aid. Please do not let people who don't know any better make you feel like you shouldn't be using it. If it would help you in your life to make your life easier, you need the mobility aid and you should be using it. So yeah, that is everything I could personally think of in my house that help with my accessibility. I'm sure there are more things that I just didn't think of, but those are the things that I think are the most important at the very least. So I hope you found this video helpful. Feel free to leave down below any things in your house that help with your accessibility. I'm sure it would be much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. It really helps me out, and I will see you next week for another video.